Hi, everybody. My name is Darla Reborn. I I'm kind of honestly in a contemplative, kind of depressed state of being right now. I'm feeling disappointed. Have you ever wanted more out of your life than you've been giving yourself? Well, I'm in a place where recently I discovered that I have the courage to pursue my dreams. And not even just that, but the courage to acknowledge my dreams, that they're actually there, that this is what I want to do. And I'm actually having the courage to say it out loud, say it to myself, accept that, yes, this is what I really, really want to do. And that's taking courage, because if you are like me and you've been afraid of your dreams and you've been afraid to follow and do exactly what gives you pleasure and exactly what gives you joy, you know how far and elusive your dreams can feel, like when they're inside of you and you think, okay, you see other people doing things that you would like to do, and you think, okay, well, they must be better than I am, or they must have more support or more capabilities or more talent or more gifts than I do. And it's almost like they got picked and you didn't get picked. And um, that's thinking from that perspective of, other people having means you had to lose, and that competitive kind of thinking. And I'm in the place now where I've acknowledged and I'm aware of how I've been thinking that way. Kind of like barren, destitute, not destitute, but like desert, like kind of thinking, like, there's only a few gifts under the tree, and the best and the brightest get those gifts. All the people who don't get gifts are just kind of, they suck. You know what I mean? And I'm here on YouTube, on Facebook. Sometimes I get inspired to say things and to try to be inspirational, or to try to say things to get people to think outside of the box. And I want to help people to see that there's a life outside of what they know, and to know that it's okay to think outside of what you've always been taught is the only way you should think, in whatever regard, whether it's education, whether it's religion, um, race, just the American dream, American culture, just however standards of beauty. Like there are realities outside of what you know, and it's okay. And if you find that where you've always been doesn't match where you want in your heart to be and what resonates with you, it's okay to pursue other options. It's okay to think. Like, don't be afraid to think outside the box that you were taught to think inside of. That all takes so much courage. And like I said, I'm on YouTube, I'm here, I'm on Facebook, I'm trying to share things. I want to start and kind of create a movement, a platform, do what I feel that I'm supposed to do, and what I was intended to do, what I was created to do. And I would love to be able to kind of like one down. I would love to kind of encourage you and um, have you thinking, and have you encouraged and feeling good, and all that stuff. But there's something very disconnected about giving to other people without being transparent. Like, the assumption is other people need help, other people need handouts, and it's like, it's almost like trying to paint your life. And I would love to be able to try to paint a picture of my life that looks like perfect and that looks flawless, and that I have it all, that I'm confident, that I'm very self-assured, and that I'm just happy, internally. But that's not the reality of every moment of my life. And now, since I've gotten courage to look at my life and honestly say I want more, and be disappointed with myself about what I haven't been or haven't done, now that I've done that, I'm seeing that I'm noticing in areas of my life, like all over, that there's unfinished business. There's a work that I need to do on the inside of me. I remember thinking back to when I was like in middle school and in elementary school, like toward the end of elementary, middle and high school. I did not have a lot of confidence. I remember I used to walk around covered up. I would it would be so hot, and I would have my jacket on. I didn't want my body to be seen. I kind of wanted to hide myself. And it wasn't until later on, um, years later, that I realized that that was a shame. I was ashamed of myself. I was ashamed. I was scared. I was hiding myself. And I didn't want people to see the real me, because I assumed that the real me was so messed up, nobody will really want to want me. So I hid that, and I feel like I was trapped in a smile, with a smile on my face, like trapped to be happy all the time and trapped to convince other people that I was okay, even when I wasn't. I've been a good friend to people, supporting people through challenges in their lives, but yet not being vulnerable enough, not being courageous enough to admit that I needed other people, and creating dynamics in my relationships that I'm unhappy with. I set myself up to believe that nobody will accept me when I open up to them. But then I'm upset when everyone assumes that I'm okay. So I'm like, I'm upset with people because I don't believe they'll accept me. And really the reality is, this is my fault. If I feel disconnected from people that I want to feel close to, but I'm afraid to open up and I'm afraid to be vulnerable and say that I need help, why would I assume, and creating dynamics in which I'm the helper, why would I assume that people reach out to me? When really and truly, I don't believe I'm worthy enough to get that from them. I don't believe I'm worthy enough, period. That's where that behavior comes from. Now, I had the courage the other day when I was aware and honest enough with myself and courageous enough to look at myself in the mirror and say, this is what I want for my life. This is what I want from my life. This is what I want from myself. I sat and I looked at myself in the mirror. And when I sat and I looked in Darla's eyes, at my face, my expressions, I realized that I had the courage at that moment that I didn't have in previous years and times in my life. There would be a time when I wouldn't really be able to look at myself in the mirror. I remember that time when I really couldn't look at myself in the mirror and feel okay. I would just nitpick, and I looked at myself and I was saying to myself what I wanted out of my life, and I realized I had more courage than I realized I had. And that's what makes me feel more comfortable now, being able to be vulnerable. I feel like throughout life there was an honesty, there was a sincerity, there was a wonder about life that I had that I lost along the way. I allowed situations and me poorly reflecting over them to make me shut down and close. And what I was closing off in the process was my own hopes and dreams for myself, not just from other people, but hopes and dreams for me. Have you ever done something or done things that weren't even necessarily bad or good or whatever, but done things because that's what's expected of you? but it doesn't resonate with you. Just recently in my life, I've come to grips, and it seems like this is a big issue with people that we admire and love the most. I find that people will just sacrifice who they are for their families, their parents, the people who brought you into this world and nurtured you and loved you and protected you and sacrificed for you. People will shut themselves down. They'll sacrifice their individuality. They will surrender their dreams and their goals to live up to someone else's expectation. And we tend to do this in the relationships that we admire and love and value the most. And that's such a scary thought to me, because could it be that the people I love the most, the people that I want in my life the most, could be the people I'm the most honest with and disingenuous with? And I feel like my husband is like my best friend, and he's the person I'm closest with. But there's things that I've done, especially earlier in our relationship, to kind of like downgrade and downplay myself in order to accommodate or to kind of fit some mold that this person's expressing to you they want you to be. And then I end up resenting him. I end up resenting the people in my life that I'm doing this for. But at the end of the day, I'm really disappointed and resentful of myself. I'm realizing just how real that just hit me. And what's funny about it is that I'm realizing about my relationship with my husband. And a lot of people admire our relationship. A lot of people respect our relationship. And since we've been together, people have told us that they would like to be us. But at several times in our relationship, and even in our marriage, there have been times we have wondered, like, is this going to work? Are we going to mesh? Are we going to fit? Can we grow together? Can we adjust through these changes and through this growth? Because I'm 30, I'll be 32 on the 17th. Shout out to St. Patrick's Day and Irish people. But I'll be 32 on the 17th. And we have been together since we were 19 years old. I mean, in college, not fully supporting ourselves, literally transitioning from teens to adult life. We have been together pretty much our entire adult life. Think about how many changes have taken place between then and now. And I remember how we used to debate and argue. We were a couple, like in college, like back in the day. And we've always been crazy about each other. But we used to drive each other nuts at our differences of opinion and perspective. And I remember we sat down and talked to someone about, like, how is this going to work? Because at that time, he was planning on being a minister. And he didn't know if he could be married to someone who was so different from him, but yet had very strong opinions that I wasn't afraid to verbalize. He'll talk day and night about his perspectives and chauvinism and all that kind of stuff that contributed to that perspective. But that person that we sat down and talked to told us, if you're not meshing and you're not growing, it's not going to happen later. If it don't work, it don't work. And if y'all can't walk together, y'all can't walk together. And I'm going to talk about this later, about marriage in our society and perspectives about marriage that actually undermine relationships. But I think that when we get together, not even just married, but when we get together, we focus so hard on being a couple and keeping the couplehood. And then when you get married, staying married, and divorce. And oh my goodness, divorce was like death. And to me, I'm never going to downplay what people go through when they divorce. Is a death. It is a grief. It is a loss. It's major. But there was a time when in my life, and I told my husband this literally just the other day, that I used to be so afraid of losing him. that was the focus for me, that I would I don't know if I necessarily did things to try to keep him, but the fear of losing him, I believe, actually in some ways has pushed him away. I think when you're afraid, and I just listen, I cannot quote this verbatim as she said it, but I was just listening to Iyanla Van Zandt earlier today, and she said a statement about fear. And she says that the things that we fear, we draw into our lives. And I think that sometimes when you're so afraid of failing, you fail. When you're so afraid of losing things and people, you do. And in fact, your fear, when you're afraid of something you treasure, you emotionally begin to disconnect a bit so that you can sustain an anticipated loss. So my fear of Ruben not leaving me, because my fear in my life has always been that people will leave me, or they'll reject me or not accept me or whatever, created a dynamic in which I was a one down to him. I one downed myself so that he would want to stay and please, and it's like a pitiful, reaching out, and I want you to like me, I want you to love me, I want you to accept me, and he had already done that. But yet I was putting myself in a position that was difficult to respect. I have a hard time respecting people who I don't see are really caring and loving and respecting and valuing themselves. And it's amazing to me that we've been in the place that we've been, and that we've made it, that we've survived to this point. When I look back at my own dysfunctional thinking and practices as a result of my thinking, it's amazing to me how we've grown. He's obviously, and we all have to grow through our own levels of dysfunction, and just backward thinking, off thinking, unproductive, inefficient thinking and living. We all have to grow through that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. And I'm so amazed that I can actually remember what I was thinking. Rarely happens, okay? But the other night, I literally told him that I used to be so afraid of losing him. Now I'm literally at the point in my life where that isn't like the most important thing, is not losing him. I told him, I said, if we grow and change to a point or a place in our lives in which we no longer walk together, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, because this is my spirit and my perspective on things. If things don't work, they just don't work. They just don't work. And at that point in our lives, when we thought we were so different and all of this, really and truly, we were very similar. But since we have jumped out of and escaped boxes that we were taught to think in, we both realized things about ourselves that we didn't even really know, and things that we want out of life that we weren't we weren't bold enough to accept and to acknowledge that this is what we wanted. And now we're able to do that. And now we're walking in our individuality, and we're seeing just how different we are. So when we thought that we were so different, we were really so much alike at that time. And now we're like different. And I'm at a place where I've accepted myself enough to where I have the courage to be honest with him about things I don't like and things I don't want. And really, this video isn't about relationships or my relationship, but it's just about how sometimes in the closest relationships we have, we grow and we change. And think about this. And this is just in a marriage. And we've been together since we were 19. Think about how much you changed since you were a child. This is why family relationships, and this just hit me, are so challenging and complicated, because You know how it is when you transition from a baby to a child to an adolescent to an adult, and then to have children on of your own. And but yet you still find that in your relationships with your siblings and your parents, you still feel like a kid. You don't feel like they respect you. You don't feel like they are okay with you making your own decisions and whatnot, and just everything. You feel like they're trying to change and control or whatever they're trying to do. It's because we have a difficult time changing and adjusting through transitions in our lives. Excuse me. And the fakeness, the hiding, the self-protectedness, the resentment is so strong in families. The people that we feel the closest to, your best friend you've known since elementary school, you can resent. And that's why it's like sometimes when I see people like this, and they seem so close and so happy and so whatever, it's just like, you know what? I know in every relationship, it's not that I'm trying to break up or break down things I see, but I just know relationship dynamics. And the people that you're the closest to, sometimes you're the least genuine and real with. And sometimes we do this and we're not even aware, because in families, in relationships, we have roles and we have dynamics that we fall into. And it's not even because of what the other person's doing. It's because of how we think, how we perceive the person to perceive us, how we think of that person and how much we want this person to be in our lives. And sometimes our fears keep us from being as honest and genuine as we really think we're being. So it's not even about it being intentionally fake or intentionally off or wrong or dysfunctional. It's just about sometimes the way you think about yourself, the way you've been taught to conceptualize relationships, all the factors. You know, sometimes religion and like I had back in the day, fears of just divorce. No. You work so hard to try to keep people from doing what you fear the most that they'll do. And at the end of the day, you end up feeling more disconnected from them, not being yourself, than you would if you just walked in silent confidence and the surety that, hey, me being me is okay. Like, me being the real me is really okay. And the reality that I'm experiencing, that I'm aware of, now that I've released this fear of losing my husband, release this fear of the people that I want and desire the most, that I'd lose those people. The more I realize I accept myself, and I'm okay with Darla, just being Darla. My voice, my thoughts, my opinions, that they're okay to have, and there's nothing wrong with you having your opinions, your goals. That's you. The more I'm realizing that people will accept the real me when I do. That's what I'm realizing for the most part. Now, everybody's not going to accept or like me or want me in their lives, but for the most part, when I have done it first, I'm welcoming other people to do the same. And when I don't, what I end up doing is trying to prove to people why I think they should be in my life. I'm trying to prove to them that I'm worth them being in my life. And I'm in a desperate place of trying to prove. And really what I'm trying to do is prove to myself, because I've already told myself I'm not worthy of this. So I know this is resonating with somebody. I feel like as women, we often get trapped into trying to satisfy and please people in our lives and just all of this. But like I said, I've come into this realization and more realizations as I've been courageous enough to admit to myself what I really want out of my life. And I'm on a journey, and I want to take you along with me. I want you to see, you know, not the perfect me or the me that you think I am or the me that I appear to be, but the real me. This is the most intimate that I could ever get. That's why, you know, people talk about just sex and you know, we get so caught up on the outside and the way things look. But this right here that I share from here is really some of the most intimate and real stuff that I think you could get. And if this resonates with you, what I just said, any of my thoughts and my feelings, I encourage you to like and share and subscribe. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm okay with accepting myself as wanting more out of my life and holding myself accountable. Holding myself accountable for the richness, the depth, and the light that is inside of me. And the more you stay true to what's inside of you, the more you'll grow and the more you'll be, and the more you'll find is actually in there. And that's why the wonder of humanity and the wonder of the mind and the heart is something that'll always fascinate me, because there's so much more to us than we even realize. I think we assume so much and so hard that, we try to protect ourselves so hard and so bad that sometimes we don't even know ourselves. We're so busy covering ourselves up to look good. We're so busy painting over our image and, polishing and all this stuff that we don't even really know what's underneath. We don't even know what's there. Obviously my hair is in its natural state. I am natural, and a lot of women are embracing that aspect of themselves. And women who have been relaxing their hair and processing their hair over the years discover for the first time what their hair actually looks like as it grows out of their scalp, because they're not so focused on covering it up or changing it, and they realize what's there, like what's always been there, that they've been covering up and hiding and changing for everybody else and for themselves. And I feel like that's why we don't really know ourselves. And when you don't know yourself, how can you present yourself to the world? How can you walk in your purpose when you don't even know yourself, your real self? I mean, it's something as basic as your hair. You don't even know what it looks like. I wonder how much more about ourselves we don't know is there. And sometimes you have to just be okay with admitting, this is what I like. This is what I find funny. And instead of judging that, oh my goodness, we judge ourselves so hard. That's why we judge other people, because really when you judge others, it's because you judge yourself. And I'm finding, for me, because I used to be a very judgmental person, I'm finding that the more I accept myself, the more acceptance, understanding, and empathy I have for other people, because I understand where things come from. And I'm honest enough now with myself to say, this is how I really feel. This is where I'm at. And when I'm not honest with myself, I encourage you and people in my life to be like, no, that's not true, because I see this. So anyway, I thank you for listening to me as I verbally process through what's in my mind, and am seeking to walk in my own authenticity and be myself. And I just encourage you out there. I don't care who you are, how old you are, your status, your class, any of that bull that we think is so important. I don't care, male, female, what color you are, whatever. I just want you to know that there's something special about you, that your life is not a waste, that the amazing wonder of the egg and the sperm that came together at that specific moment to form your life has meaning and has purpose. Don't dishonor the miracle of your life by devaluing your worth. There's so much that went into you being who you are and where you're at this very moment. Please don't believe the lie that what you look like determines your intrinsic worth and value. Don't believe the lie that your current pain is a reflection of your future and of your entirety. Don't believe the lie that your mistakes characterize your existence. It was a momentary experience, and yeah, there are consequences for every decision we make. But you can start over. You can recreate yourself. And this is what I'm finding that I'm able to do. Even in the moments where I feel ashamed of what I've done, of what I've thought, and what I've been, I'm realizing that I can say and acknowledge, hey, I made a mistake, beat myself up for a few moments, and then write out my thoughts and plan the next move, the next decision, and improve on my last decision. Instead of looking at myself and being sorry for myself and saying, oh, you're a bad person, or you're this, you're that, making a judgment on myself, looking at what led up to me making the decisions I made, the beliefs that may have led up to the decisions and the feelings that I had, and then making decisions to unlearn things that are dysfunctional, that I find, that I think, and relearn new things. So that means you have to put in new information. And I'm committed to doing that in my life. I'm committed to kind of like, I'm going to be on social media and I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more YouTube videos, but I'm going to also focus on disconnecting from artificial things and filling my mind intentionally with things I want my life to look like. So books, people, I'm going to be investing in me, investing in the inside of me. And I just want to bring you along in that journey. I'm going to be as transparent as I possibly can be. And I hope that you can appreciate that and then do the same in your life. But like I said, please, if anything I said resonates with you, if anything I said you find to resonate with you, or that it could help someone else in their lives, please share this, tag somebody, and like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate if you join me in this journey. Thank you so much for listening, and take care.